So this priest, as I recall, you liked to visit a particular chapel. You weren't really into religion so much, but you just loved the feeling there, and you would sit there. And some priest noticed you
Yeah,
and asked if you would like some kind of a blessing or something, and he
yeah,
gave you the blessing, and that's what opened up this memory of near-death experiences
yeah.
as a child.
I was about 17, and I would like to go to this chapel because it was quiet, and I like to go there when there was no one there. And this priest, every once in a while, I'd see him cleaning or dusting or setting up for a mass or something like that. It was a Catholic church. And I didn't know him at the time, but he had a gift of healing, and he was known for that. People would come from all over for healing from him. And he one day walked up to me. I was sitting there, and he saw me before, so he was curious, I think. And he said, "What brings you here?" And I said, "I can't really verbalize it, put it into words. It just I love the silence. I love the quiet." And he said, "Can I say a prayer for you?" And I didn't know what to expect because I wasn't brought up in a religious family. Um, so I just said, "Okay." And when he laid his hands on my head, I just felt this warmth go through my whole body, and then I felt it settle like in the solar plexus, and it was like honey going, and it was just like this cascade, and then it just exploded into this remembering, re-experiencing. And I experienced my mom in labor. I experienced it from so many different positions. I experienced it from my mom's point of view, from the people who were in the operating room. Uh, I experienced it from my point of view, but I couldn't breathe because the umbilical cord was wrapped around the neck, and I was in the canal for so long that basically, by the time I came out, I was blue and flat. And they just said to my mom, it didn't make it. They didn't say if it was a girl or a boy, it didn't make it. And they whisked me off into another room. And what I remember there is my mom like a beacon of light. It felt like her pulling me back. And I was in a space of complete peace and bliss. It was beyond, it's all beyond words. I really, it's an experience of being home. It's real. It's soft. It's all permeating because it moves through your whole being. Um, Anyways, so when I go back into that, I can really just immediately go back into that fight easily. So uh, they got me going, and they immediately put me into a little incubator. At that time, in this early 60s, they didn't even have prenatal care. Babies, I was 4 pounds, went down to 3 pounds, and that was kind of, usually babies that small would die. And they put me in a little bubble, in a little incubator, and so I could develop more. And I was in the hospital for a couple months, and my parents would come once a week and look through a little window and look in the back and see me. So everything was a procedural, um, uh, which is kind of an interesting beginning. And
Yeah.
I did get to come home early, about 2 months, and they ended up needing to do a surgery. And doing anesthesia on a baby is very precarious, especially if they're preemies. And they set up for a surgery I think it was about 5 months old. And they set up for a surgery, and they never got to the procedure because the the anesthesia knocked me out, and I was out of my body and very happy to be out of that body. And because I found it constricting, I found it, uh, yeah, it was very small and not pleasant. So, but they got me going. It was quite a endeavor to get me going. And but they got me back. And
Yeah. Well, glad they made it. I'm
yeah,
glad they did.
at this point in my life, I'm glad they did too.